Discovering Alabama is a production of the Alabama Museum of Natural History.
Hi, I'm Doug Phillips, and this lovely stream was once a favorite place for me to play. It's the very creek I used to cross on my way to school each day.
Once upon a time, in a not-so-far-away place, schooling was welcomed with a polite embrace, and teaching took a more simple pace. Then came a time the school grew and grew. Schooling now measured by rules all anew, and teachers now busy with much more to do. In this once and present land not far away, children would learn where children would play. It's a land we know as Alabama today.
This corner of Alabama still has that countryside character it did when I was growing up. Back then, the daily route to school for many an Alabama youngster was a cross-country journey by foot. And what a journey it could be.
In earlier times, the trip to school could be quite an adventure through waters, woods, and wild lands. Much of my own curiosity for things came, no doubt, from nature-filled adventures en route to school. The trip to school now is, well, different. The backcountry pathways are replaced by asphalt arteries. The lure of the outdoors gives way to enticements of the indoors. The daily routine for many youngsters offers little contact with woods and wildlands and few opportunities for first-hand discovery.
But one thing fundamental has not changed. As the old adage says, the nature of life is nature. In this once and present land we call Alabama, we are abundantly blessed with the grand realm of nature. And there are many basics of teaching, many principles of good schooling that are available to us in the rich classroom of Alabama's outdoors.
Amidst a rapidly changing world, hands-on nature study remains an exceptional means of exciting young minds for learning naturally. That's why a number of Alabama educators today strive to include outdoor connections in their teaching.
Join me for a special story as we look at an innovative program linking classroom instruction to Alabama's outdoors. Come along as we hear from Alabama teachers who are keeping nature study at the heart of learning, who are drawing upon the fundamental connections between the community of people and the community of nature.
This program is about a land unknown to many people, a land that in many ways has maintained its native natural wonders, a place of bountiful backcountry, forests, streams, and wildlife more diverse than can be found in much of the inhabited world. Come along with me as we explore the wild wonders of this land. Come along as we discover Alabama.
Welcome to Discovering Alabama, and welcome to an Alabama classroom.
How do y'all feel about that? You think we can do that? I think everybody...
Alabama is a wondrous living classroom. And like any good classroom, you need a good teacher. A teacher skilled in the art of connecting learning with life. A teacher who recognizes that no matter how technologically proficient we may become, our lives are still fundamentally dependent on the natural world.
This is their ideal classroom. Outside, moving, hands-on.
It makes it meaningful, and if it's meaningful to you, you have a purpose for learning it.
Well, when you're using real life things to learn something, they're not going to forget it. And when it comes back to them in the form of a test, they're going to come up with it.
Since 1985, Discovering Alabama has been teaching, some would say preaching, about the wonders of our state.
We've climbed the mountains.
Is the only river in the nation that forms and flows.
We've floated the streams. And I hope it's been as much fun for you as it has for me. Throughout our travels, we've had the good fortune to visit with teachers who elevate the education of their students. As a production of the Alabama Museum of Natural History and the University of Alabama, in cooperation with Alabama Public Television, the primary goal of Discovering Alabama has always been to provide teachers with resources they can use as they teach our children. At times, that involves visiting with the students.
Many more times, Discovering Alabama's role involves sharing with teachers. And we're not alone.
State agencies, universities, environmental groups, conservation organizations, private foundations, and more are providing teachers with resources and the training to use those resources.
Given the diversity of wildlife, plant life, geology, waters, the overall rich natural diversity of Alabama, it's no wonder there are a great variety of educational resources linking to this natural diversity. And now Discovering Alabama is joining with a team of other organizations to provide Alabama schools with a unique model that brings many of these educational resources together.
This new model is called Project Community and offers teachers special training and resources connecting to Alabama's natural communities to help engage students in exploring the natural diversity of their own local communities. This great learning lab of natural diversity includes such topics as Alabama's rivers, forests, geology, wetlands, and wildlife. And in coordination with the Alabama State Department of Education, Project Community unites what you might call a community of expertise, a statewide partnership of agencies and organizations, each with natural resource staff and materials to share with the education community.
Well, I look at Project Community as being, I guess, the glue that keeps our programs together. And I feel that we are so fortunate to have so many wonderful programs and curricula throughout the state, such as Discovering Our Heritage. Legacy has a curriculum. We have the national curriculum is Wet, Wild, Aquatic Wild, Growing Up Wild. We have the outdoor classroom program with Alabama Wildlife Federation. But I think Project Community brings us all to a point where we are making all of this locally relevant. And why not learn something about where you live? You know, we know about the rainforest. We learn about that in the first grade. It's thousands of miles away, but we don't know what is outside our back door. And so Project Community brings the educators, brings the associations, brings the citizens of the community together to teach something that they all need to know, and that's about their natural environment.
Project Community draws from the fact that Alabama has a vast assortment of natural resources. When students go outside and are actually become a part of their environment, outdoor environment, they are able to observe things some of them have never even noticed. They're able to understand how they are part of the big picture.
I think it's a great way to marry the physical and natural sciences through AMSTI. And of quite honestly, Discovering Alabama has been our linchpin and way to connect the two. We value that relationship through Project Community and other endeavors, and it's a wonderful, intriguing concept that we now can share that with every student in the state, and that's going to be a real eye-opening experience for them, their teachers, and it's going to connect the two sciences so well, I think. It's going to make AMSTI, our Alabama Math Science Technology Initiative, much stronger.
Discovering Alabama has long enjoyed collaboration with a variety of agencies and organizations from around the state, all of which are eager to provide teachers with resources. And we're proud to be among this new community, the Project Community Partners.
Well, education is truly a priority. K-12 is important to our success, and we want to play a role with our sister institutions throughout the state of Alabama to the success of K-12.
We know that we can't meet all the needs of all of the teachers across the state. But with our partners, we have all of these different people and organizations and agencies who do have local resources. And so what we do when we go into a school, we talk to them about who their local wildlife biologist is, who their local extension agent is, who's their local forester. So we embrace partners because we know that that is the only way that these schools can accomplish their goals, is with having that support system.
We work with projects like Project Community throughout the county to try to reach the local level and bring everybody together as a group, and it's all related to the outdoors, and I think it's very important, and if we get them concerned about it now, they will be proactive as adult leaders to conserve our natural resources.
The reason it works is because you've got something that you can interject in the other subjects, because if teachers have such a workload now, if you go to them with hey, we want to do this conservation education thing, they don't have room for another subject. It's got to be intertwined with what they already have. And Project Community does this really well by making those types of connections.
North to south, mountains to the coast, Alabama educators are discovering the learning opportunities that abound through Discovering Alabama. In fact, this is happening in the very school system of my childhood education.
English can be incorporated into everything we do, from a recipe to how you plant your garden, to the vocabulary, the terminology, to just being able to express yourself and what you see of the beauty of outside.
Today we've come out and we've looked at some soil samples from around the school. And what we've done is see how fast the water will percolate through those soil samples so that we know what type and what size particles are in each soil sample.
Different particles in them because of the way the parent materials break down. They break down from weathering. We've talked about weathering before. Okay?
Well, we've just finished a unit on area and perimeter. So I have had the kids go around and measure these flower boxes, and we're to find the area of the space we have to plant these flowers. So we're going to talk about the cost of the dirt that goes into the flower beds, and we're able to estimate on a larger scale. We had a 6x8 flower box, and we were able to produce this much crop. How much could we produce on a 6-mile, 10-mile crop?
Discovering Alabama and Project Community have been very helpful for us here at Locust Fork High School. Students can pick up a textbook and read about the rainforest, but with Project Community and Discovering Alabama, and especially videos like the Locust Fork River, it brings it home to the students.
Real-world connections, locally relevant, community involvement, environmental respect. All sounds well and good, but what about the bottom line issue, the report card? What about students' academic performance? What about students' progress and improvement?
When we're talking to administrators, we're able to show them studies and reports, various studies that have been done across the country, that actually show that on everything from standardized tests to performance in the classroom to cooperation in the classroom, the kids do much better, and that's measurable. But the evidence is very strong at this point, and it's been assembled over the last 10 or 12 years, that when schools have good environmental education programs, the kids do better in school.
I think at first everybody was skeptical of how it would go over, and now that they've gotten test results, behavior results, they're very pro outdoor education and will do anything to help us increase our program.
You know, when we come out like this, people just think it's fun and games, and it's all just for our enjoyment, but they don't understand how it affects our test score grades and our graduating rate or physical fitness. And also, it helps us to achieve our annual yearly progress report.
This is the day where I noticed that. They're excited about it. I mean, you know, to see your child excited is huge in this day and time. And to see them excited about something other than the television or the computer, you know, that's what life's all about.
Oh, look at that beetle. When you see in their eyes that sort of, I get it, I understand now, it all makes sense. You know, that to me is all worth it. And no matter what else happens, those are the kind of moments that really make my job worth coming to and worth having.
Hands-on outdoor learning enhances education for one simple reason. Out here, students make real connections. Out here, every subject is relevant to a student's personal experience.
I think one of the things that I try to do is to always make connections for the students. And so part of what we do, even though we're looking at birds, we're thinking in our head, okay, how does this relate to the bigger picture? How does it relate to, yes, we have these birds in this area at this time, but these birds aren't here all the time. Where do they go when they're not here? And that's when you can bring in and integrate your other subjects.
Yeah. Yep.
Project Community takes full advantage of the wild wonders of Alabama.
And here in our state, those wild wonders can be right outside the schoolhouse door.
I actually used a little thing that Dr. Phillips taught us when he was talking about the students in New York that had never seen woods before, and I brought that back and I mentioned that to my classes, and I said, let me tell you, did you realize that there's students in the United States that have never been out in the woods before? They were completely shocked, horrified, like they've never seen a white-tailed deer, and you know, of course the boys are like, no, and I'm like, yeah. So I mean, it does relate it to them, and it really made them take notice when they realized that everybody doesn't have what we have around here, and it really gives them a more sense of, this is my home, this is my state, this is my land.
It does come 7.5. 150 plus 55 is 205 centimeters. 205 centimeters.
This is reaching across the curriculum. We're tying in science and math and reading, and the children are beginning to make connections that they haven't made before because it's a hands-on thing. So it's the best thing I've done in 31 years.
It says Mom. Jimmy. Mom. Jimmy. I don't know what that says. Jimmy. Jim.
The joy of the outdoor class is not a substitute for the indoor classroom. Rather, the nature of the outdoor experience is to make book learning all the more significant for students.
Today we're using math, science, history, and language, all in this one lesson.
You know, it's such a great thing to have your children outside and experience everything. I mean, they've seen snakes and bugs, and they've learned so much just being out here, and they can relate what they're seeing here to what they've already done, and they can relate what they're going to do to what they've already seen.
The activities that they have out here today, whether it's gardening or building a rain barrel or learning how to make a soil profile, you name it, those kinds of things are things they can incorporate in their classroom where the kids can continue learning in that outdoor-based education.
While Project Community relies on good old-fashioned hands-on learning, we've got a few newfangled technologies at work too.
Ask the Expert is a web-based connection to the best scientific minds in Alabama. Through the Discovering Alabama website, a student, a teacher, anyone for that matter, can upload a photo for identification, or they can simply ask a question.
A lot of times if we'll take nature hikes or things like that in our woods, kids will find things and they'll want to know more about those. And so they are the ones generating the question versus a teacher saying, here's what you need to learn about. They find what they want to learn about and ask questions about.
With the tricks of technology, we can further supplement our outdoor on-site excursions with some virtual adventure.
Where do you want to go? What do you want to know? Just click to make it so. You can plan your virtual field trip by topic or by location.
I'm extremely pleased that the great work with Discovering Alabama can be shared with teachers and students throughout our great state. In this time when resources for travel are limited, school children can still experience the wonders that the state of Alabama has.
I'm a great believer in getting outside, but for those times when it's just not possible to get out, the Discovering Alabama virtual field trip is the way to go.
Back in 1985, Discovering Alabama set out on a journey, an adventure across a remarkable land called Alabama.
Being a native, I'm prejudiced to start with, but being state superintendent, I get to travel this state a lot, and I am always struck by the beauty of this state. And it's just an amazing array of nature, and it just lends itself so well to students and teachers to get involved in all of our natural science areas.
Our state has so many wonderful natural resources, but students can only learn so much from a textbook. To be able to actually visit the pine forests, to see the rivers, to see the Indian mounds at Moundville, to go through the mountains and to visit the Gulf Coast is a significant way to help young people understand all that the great state of Alabama has to offer.
The best teachers unite the community of nature and the community of man with that tight-knit community, which is a teacher and her students.
It has been and continues to be my privilege to know so many of these guides, these teachers. My honor to work with them. I may be a bit biased, but it's been my observation that the best of these are the ones that link learning to the greater world.
Our goal is to graduate every child and to integrate every child into the learning environment. And it's a hard order, it really is, but it is a worthy order.
I am the future. Who will teach me? I am the future. Who will lead me? Who will be the wise one to see distant horizons? I am the future of Alabama.
Discovering Alabama is a production of the Alabama Museum of Natural History, the University of Alabama. This program is supported by grants from the Solon and Martha Dixon Foundation, the Alabama Wildlife Federation, working for wildlife since 1935, the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, State Lands Division, Protective Life Insurance Company, 100 years of service, and Vulcan Materials Company.